Well, welcome back for another edition of Less Kevin, More Tech from UTECIT.com. And actually, we should call it Less because we got Vince Parla pinch hitting for Les. And he's going to be very disappointed because our guest, we recruited her right off the bowling alley, right up at Les's sweet spot.
In Flushing, Michigan.
Straight from Flushing. We flushed her out from Flushing, right? And we have Andrea Darden from the Darden Wealth Group, CEO. And welcome, Andrea.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we were just talking about it here, bowler. Everybody identifies a 6'2" female athlete as a top-notch bowler. Is that correct?
Absolutely. The joke when I was in college, people would come up to me and say, "Oh, basketball," and I'd say, "No, jockey." And in hindsight, I should have said bowler, but I guess later in life, you're either golfing or bowling, right? As the knees don't hold up anymore.
Yeah. Or pickleball now.
I know. So, fun fact about pickleball: I've played twice, and both times it was like for 3 hours. Like I couldn't stop playing. I kind of got addicted and kept playing for 3 hours. I think the second time was like 4 hours. Never left.
Yeah. I love it. So we were teasing you, but hell of an athlete through college, right? And jack of all trades, played basketball, Western Michigan for 4 years. Still playing basketball today, right? Down at the DAC?
I actually got injured in college, so I transferred from Western to Stetson, broke my leg in 2 places, tore a knee, and hence my desire to go back and play professionally later because I needed that closure.
Right.
But yeah. DAC just coached a national championship women's team, great group of gals. Would love to do it again. We're actually going down in your neck of the woods, down to Columbus next year to try to regain or keep a crown. So really excited about that. Hopefully we'll take the same group of girls down there. But the Detroit Athletic Club threw a little party for us, and there was 2 other men's team that also won. So the Detroit Athletic Club really took home
I love it.
A W this year. We're really excited about that.
We want to talk about Darden Wealth Financial Group.
It's okay. Sports is much more interesting.
Yes. But I, when we get a chance like this, because you know so much about basketball, the women's game right now, it seems like it's off the charts. I think it's pretty cool from the collegiate level. Michigan here is doing well. We've got good programs here, but the WNBA is just like the hottest thing right now for sponsorships, fans, TV. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. I could talk forever on that. So you said we had 20 minutes. We could talk for 20 hours on this. Very excited. Obviously, basketball's always been a real passion of mine. The last time we saw this kind of success was the year I graduated from high school, which was 97. So since then, we have gone downhill and again, there's reasons, and we could talk about that. There's a lot of fun things that, like you said, that are happening around the game. Caitlin Clark, obviously, everybody wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to talk about Angel Reese as well. That controversy. I can draw a parallel between Magic and Bird, if you remember those days.
Sure. Yep.
Absolutely. We're following the trend of the men's basketball. If you remember back in the day, the men's didn't get paid very much, and we didn't have a lot of a fan base. And what was really the tipping point, to use a cliche phrase from one of my favorite books, was Jordan coming in, right? And Jordan came in, started getting the sponsorship deals. Players Union really got a lot of popularity around the sport. The game was very rough, so we talk about the roughness of the women's game and going after Caitlin Clark. Well, think about the Bad Boys, and you think about the Celtics before then. So I really do think you can draw a lot of parallels as kind of the J-curve of the men's game versus the J-curve of the women's game. So everybody that says we haven't seen this before, this is new, it never happened in the men's game, I disagree. I think it did. I think it's the progression of the sport, and I think it's very exciting. Serena Williams, I heard a rumor that put up $50 million for wanting to purchase a WNBA team. Unfortunately, there's this fun little rule that WNBA teams have to be under the same ownership as NBA teams. So we'll see how that plays out. I have a friend of mine by the name of Asia Boyd. She is a great player. She also played professionally from Detroit, a little bit younger than me, but she is I hope I can say this, but working with the Pistons to try to bring back a WNBA team to Detroit. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
She does a lot with the women's sports as well. She actually played on our national championship team, and it was really great.
Watch a WNBA game anymore. It's more physical than the men's now. The men's has gone to a really wimpy type game, and the girls just beat on each other.
Well, we're not going to be called WIMPs.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, no, I think it's exciting because it is exciting to see good basketball, and they're playing at a high level. And, you look at the stands, and they're packed. The NCAA Final Four for the women, I mean, you can't get a ticket now. It's just like the men's. And we're just listening about Caitlin Clark the other day and what she's done with the Fever. And if she does a little bit more here, her sponsorships next year are going to be off the charts, aren't they, for her? I mean, it's interesting that she's going to do for basketball like Jordan did for the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a lot to put on her shoulders, but I do agree that she could. And she's very polished in those interviews, much more polished than I was in college. I mean, she handles the presser very well. She talks through the criticism. She's funny. She's good with her teammates. Yeah, I think she really can take that team a long way. It's a young team, a young coach. They're making mistakes. She's getting used to the momentum, and it's a new momentum. Anytime you enter a league, it's a new momentum, and you're really learning how to play and what is acceptable, how the ref is reffing the games, all that. And she's learning that this year. So, people criticize her. She's leading the league in turnovers right now, but she's also in assists. So she's figuring it out. She'll be good.
Well, you can see some of those passes that she made at the collegiate level. I mean, don't go in the professional level.
Yeah, we'll get a Mahomes behind the back. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Soon, I'm sure it's coming out of her.
Yeah.
See, she's better than Sam Webb. She knows more about basketball and sports than Sam does,
I'm sitting back and listening. Right, exactly.
And Ira, we don't even bring him up.
Yeah.
But, no, so I know we will have to talk about your company. So tell us about Darden Wealth.
We opened our doors in 2018. I was a managing director of another RIA firm. Before then, I worked for a big company. Really wanted to focus on that client experience. And I think so much of finance is getting assets in the door and not that client experience. So we've really focused on that client experience. So we talk about being a modified family office. So we help everything from reading and helping with real estate contracts, should we buy or lease a car, setting up the family foundation, hiring the trustees, all the way to the asset management. It's really your entire financial picture we really focus on. And we have a team that does an excellent job. We have a lot of connections. We bring in the experts when the experts are needed, whether it's an accountant or you're a legal professional. Really that client experience. We want everybody to leave feeling wowed, really excited that, I'm a client of Darden Wealth, I'm sleeping well at night. And in reality, the asset management is the easy part, I always say. It's really is the planning aspect of it. I have spreadsheets for my spreadsheets, but nobody wants to talk about those things.
Right.
But we really talk about that client experience. When I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, and I started at a very young age in finance. You may have read about it in my bio, but my grandfather had businesses and got me doing stock reports when I was 12. And so in some ways, I always knew I was going to go into finance. But I actually got a job for the Orlando Miracle in marketing and was trying to decide, do I want to stay with this basketball thing or go off in finance, what I've always thought I wanted to go into. So part of me is always looking at that client experience, looking at how we're marketing ourselves, how perception is reality, making sure that what we put forth in the community is really reflective of our values, and we spend a lot of time on that. So that's a little passion of mine, along with the
just a little passion.
Just a little passion.
Just a little passion.
You don't show it. We need you to come out more.
Be a little bit more excitable.
Right, excitable. Right.
See me coaching.
There goes a clipboard.
Yeah. I hate to keep on going back to the sports thing, but we see a lot of people that you're successful in your business now, but it really comes off that passion and really from an athlete standpoint and the competitive nature and things like that. I mean, you can see it in what you're doing and what you're saying. A lot of successful people are like that.
Yeah, I love a great challenge, right? If somebody comes and says, I don't know how to do this, we got this liquidity event happening, and I'm right there on the tax bracket. Maybe there's something about tax bracket, and we've got blended families, and we're up against a deadline. Oh, I love that stuff, right? Because it does go back to your sports days. You're really looking at, you're down. I was telling you the story before. We were down by 35 at halftime, and we're like, oh, yeah, we got this game. No problem.
You did it for a steak.
Yeah, right.
Really, exactly. At the end of the day, right? You got a steak dinner.
Always comes back to food.
Yeah, she'll do financial planning for a steak.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. A great steak, rare recipe. Right?
Yeah. You have a passion for golf, right? And we say that for golfers, you just got to get in and start doing it, right? It doesn't matter where you're starting. You got to just go play, right? And then the more you play, the better you get. And is financial advising a little bit like that? It doesn't matter where you're if you have, $10 in your pocket or 10,000, you just got to start investing something, right? And getting young people. Are you having problems getting young people to see that, to invest in money?
Okay, so that's the more difficult question than you think it is. I'm actually really excited. More young people are interested in finance than I've ever been before. Even though I'm not a big fan of Robinhood, they've had liquidity issues. And part of it was because of, the pandemic and also Robinhood. Robinhood, you pull up the app, it's got a wheel, confetti, makes you feel like you're in Vegas. Kids love it. Adults love it.
It's a game.
Yeah, it's a game. But also, when everybody's sitting at home and they're getting their stimulus checks, even the kids I shouldn't call them kids, they're students, right? They're 18. I would have, sorry, anybody that's listening. The students are getting their stimulus checks, and they were interested. They're interested in investing. In one aspect, you're right. The earlier you start, you build good habits. Mm-hmm. It's all about the hours. When I started playing golf, it wasn't until after college. People said, aren't you frustrated because you came from playing sports at a high level, and now, I wasn't very good. Newsflash. I said, no, I haven't put in my hours. I'm not going to throw my clubs and get all – I know I haven't put in my hours. Until I put in my hours and build good habits, I'm not going to be good. So same sort of thing with finance. You're right. If you build good habits, you start early, it's going to be easier, just like sports, right? If I start, shooting hoops at 8 years old, I don't even think about it. You think about Steph Curry. He doesn't even think about a shot. I once saw him. He was talking about, like, if I do this, I'll miss, and he didn't miss. And he's like, well, I'm me. I can't miss. Something about, it was some kind of something on the web that I saw about that, maybe with TikTok. My guilty pleasure. Sometimes I go on TikTok. But same sort of thing. You build those good habits you don't know. And so the earlier that you start the building those good habits, whether it's putting money in a Roth or just looking at the stock market, starting to follow what's going on, a budget, you'd be surprised how many people come to me and don't even know what they spend. I don't know what I've spent. If I have money in my bank account, I know I'm okay. Maybe. So, starting building those good habits early is just like sports. It's muscle memory, and instead you're using your brain. Great question.
Yeah, because we have a lot of young kids they're just graduating. It's their first job or second job, and we offer 401k, and I'm always telling them, you got to just throw your money in. Just get it in something and start now and max it out so you get the match, right? But just trying to get them going, because I said, you'll thank me in 40 years. I won't be here, but you'll thank me when you go to withdraw that and you see that. Yeah. So I think it's important we get our employees educated on that, but everybody, our kids, young people, just getting, you don't need a lot of money. You just got to start somewhere.
Yeah, the best return in the stock market is a match, right? Day one, you got 100% return.
Yes, right. You can't miss on that.
Right? Every day. Yeah. It's better than Shaq's free throw percentage.
Yeah. Wow, yeah.
You won't let us get away from basketball, will you?
Oh, absolutely not. There's so many parallels. Everything in life.
You're starting to see, I think in high schools and stuff like that, they're starting to finally come around and having some sort of class for either, I think it's at the senior level now in a lot of these high schools and stuff like that, of just going through kids in regards to, what's a mortgage, what's a Roth, just basic stuff. I mean, you need to start talking about it, because they don't know.
Fun fact, the state of Michigan passed, I think it's a law, that they have to have financial education in high school. And it was supposed to go into effect this year, but I believe I heard that they punted it down the road till, I think, next year. But super excited about that. We did some stuff with the NFLPA. They're trying to help with that as well. So NFL Players Association, for those that don't know what that is. But they're trying to help out with that financial education. We know a lot of athletes that make a lot of money and, of course, are broke later. So they're helping with that financial education both for athletes as well as trying to help the state. I know they're trying to do some partnerships with them. But they're also doing with stuff in the computer program. So fun fact, I also have a degree in IT, or my husband's a computer programming professor, but I also have a degree in IT. So this fintech in the market really excites me. But that also those skills for kids are really exciting as well. Talk about starting young. So if I had I do have 2 kids, but which do this, but perhaps I should say with my kids, I both have them picking stocks. I mean, I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. They're looking at stocks, and we're talking to them about budget. You know, we just went to Aruba for 2 weeks. We always go to Aruba in August. Halfway through, I have them look at our budget. Did we spend, where are we, for the second half of the vacation, looking at that budget, making sure that they understand it's not what's in a bank account is what we can spend. It's, we put together budgets, and we meet those goals, and, we talk about KPIs. We also follow the EOS model at Darden Wealth Group, which has rocks, but I'm old school, so I call them KPIs, key performance indicators.
The funny thing is that now these kids with NIL and stuff like that, they have to be responsible at a younger age. I mean, you get some of these great athletes. You talk about the NFL Players Association, but now they need to be educated in college. You know what I mean? Because you got these kids that are Sanders' kid. I just saw him; he's a $4 million a year NIL guy now, or something of that nature. It's crazy. That's a lot of money.
It's very exciting. I think it's done a tremendous amount for the women's programs. The men's programs, it can go either way. Obviously, you have men that are making more than they ever will, right? They probably won't go on and be as successful in the NBA or in the NFL or whatever, so they're making a ton of money in college. There isn't a lot of support around that area. So going back to kids getting interested or students getting interested at a younger age, there's a bunch of stuff that's happening nowadays to get kids interested into finance, and I think it's fabulous.
Because there's always been the money in men's college basketball. Now it's just above table versus underneath the table. But we'll bring it up for the other sports.
Here we go.
We were talking with some other folks the other day on the golf course, and it's interesting from a financial planner and helping. You're not picking stocks necessarily for your clients, but you're trying to get them on a program, right? You're trying to get them.
We actually
you're
do.
actually picking specific stocks and
we
stuff.
have CFAs and market technicians on staff. So one of the things that we always preach is internal fees, right? Internal fees can eat away at your returns. So we do individual stocks. We're an active manager, and we can be active and we can be passive. And I always say it depends on what the market gives you. So any advisor that has just one strategy, the market isn't always the same. So there's times where we are active and at times where we're more passive, but we're always looking at the lowest cost solution for clients. So we are fiduciaries. We do assets under management. We actually do assets under management flat fee or hourly, but no products, right? And we are picking individual stocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: if for a long time we've had the history of the stock market, rate of returns, ups and downs, all types of investment vehicles and stuff. Do you see the same indicators, or since COVID has that changed? Has the economy gone wonky in a sense that it doesn't? Are the same indicators there that have traditionally been, that we're heading towards a depression or you're headed towards a recession or we're going into bull market, bear market, or are they the same as they've always been?
They're the same. I hate it when people say it's a new market. It's never a new market, right? A business cycle is a business cycle. You're a business owner, right? You know when it's time for growth, when you have to consolidate, when we have to look at new products. Business cycles are business cycles. It may look different, whether we're in the technology revolution or the industrial revolution. Right, it doesn't look exactly the same. You can't pick up a textbook and go, yep, that was 1981, right? But there's going to be similarities because business cycles are business cycles. Now, is the market manipulated at times? Absolutely. Was the market manipulated during COVID when everybody had their stimulus check and nobody really knew what they were doing but investing in the market? Absolutely. I got excited because more people were interested in finance, but it did create a lot of volatility and fluctuation in the market. Same thing that's happening right now. If we look at what's happening right now, we just got the jobs report out this morning. Perfect example. A lot of people are really concerned with that jobs number. We're talking about interest rate increases coming in September. September 18th, Powell will come out and say whether or not we're going to lower interest rates either a 0.25% or 0.5%. It's about 50-50 is what they're talking about right now.
Right.
based on the jobs number that came in. It showed a slowing of jobs growth. But if you look on the other side of it, we saw an increase in wage growth. Numbers for companies are still looking pretty good. So you can look at that the report and the numbers and the base sheets that have come out and really say, numbers look pretty good. Or you can look at it and go, well, I'm going to be data point dependent and say the slowing of the jobs growth really is unfortunate. But if you really back up and take a big picture look at how well businesses have done coming out of the pandemic. We really have recovered for the most part. Unemployment number is still at 4.3, really reasonable number. So when you look at that number, you say, okay, most people do have jobs. Historically, that's a great number. Yes, we do have an aging workforce. But we also look at the baby boomers were the biggest population, and we're still looking at them holding the majority of the jobs. Common sense would tell you that. We still do have positive, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Reproducing, right? What's that called when you?
Well, this is a PG show.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
So we still have a positive reproduction rate, right? We're still. I'm sorry. Do you have more coffee?
Yeah.
That's what you need, more coffee.
You're slowing down. We're getting worried about you. Yeah, exactly.
So as long as we're creating more mouths to feed and more consumers in the market, then the market can continue to go forward. However, we do have these consolidations periods. We're seeing that the foreshadowing of that happening. Do I think that's going to happen tomorrow or on September 18th? We may have a pullback. September has always been one of the worst months of the year. Why? Well, the numbers that come off of August are always kind of sketchy, right? You have traders that are gone. The reports for businesses are always kind of light. There's always revisions of those numbers. So most of the time, September ends up being a tough month, and the market does recover. Now, we have the election year, right? We have a very interesting election year, and I don't think any of us want to talk politics, so I'm not trying to talk politics. And I'm going to stay away from those topics, but we have to take that into consideration. We do have that coming up, which always adds volatility. We also have another budget conversation that's coming up, which is going to also add volatility, on top of the fact that there's going to be some political jostling around that budget. So. Sure. When you look at where we are with the market, and don't get me wrong, I do understand that there's a bifurcation between the haves and have-nots, which happens at any time a bull market is coming to a top. You have the people that invest in the stock market that have extra, that maybe make a little bit more, that are able to have that discretionary income, a little bit more discretionary income. They're coming off years where their portfolio is making 10%, 12%, a little bit greater. They're feeling like they have more money. They have great jobs. We just talked about the wage growth is still higher than trending. So they're feeling really great. You have another section of the population that can't buy houses, that are in those lower paying jobs, that are really struggling to get those hours, really wondering where's this economy, and really feeling like we're already in the R word, which we don't want to say. As an economist, I don't want to say that out loud. We're not in the R word, but they're feeling like it, right? You go on TikTok, again, my guilty pleasure. You go on TikTok and they talk about we're in a recession. This is not great. This is horrible. So, but again, this happens when you get to the end of a bull market, and we expect that. Looking at the numbers of where they were pre-pandemic, we are below those numbers. When you really look inflation adjusted, we're below those numbers. But going into the pandemic, we were due for a market pullback. So when we look at the market, I disagree with those analysts that say we're in a bubble or we're really high. No, we're not. We are coming to the end of a bull market now. I do expect a pullback coming, and depending on who we get as president and what the economic policy is, will depend on when that happens, because obviously fiscal policy can affect the market, and we really need to know that before we will know next steps.
So I'll break it down for you. In 9,000 words, she just said buy more Bitcoin.
But yeah, invest in Bitcoin heavy.
No.
Well, this is why I love it. If anybody, we got like 12. Well, we up to Christine, like maybe 24 listeners now. But the 24 that heard it will now call you right away, because they know that. Look at this energy. What a way to get some financial advice.
Right.
And I think she's passionate about it. I think she understands a little bit what she does.
I think she does. She sold me.
Well, another neat thing, I think, so you got this passion that they can see for basketball. You got this passion for financial advice, literacy, and helping people. But you guys carry that over into the community, too. If anybody has seen you around the Ann Arbor area, Detroit metropolitan area, you guys are right at the top of volunteering for stuff, right?
Yeah, we do a lot. We try to do a lot in the community, and just because it makes us feel good, right? Selfishly, if you're helping those that are really struggling, you feel great. And you also know that when you're struggling, you're going to have a community that supports you. So anybody that isn't volunteering needs to get out and volunteer and make a difference, because it really, selfishly, just from selfish point of view, we all go through this ups and downs, just like the stock market. And you'll find that when you support the community, when you need it, the community is going to support you. And we believe that even in our interviewing process, we ask our candidates, what do they do in the community? It really tells you about your character and your compassion and empathy. And I just think it's really important. My mother got us involved. I can remember she was an occupational therapist, and she worked with 0 to 6 up in Genesee County. And she got us involved in working with those that had disabilities. And I can remember even before kindergarten, working with those individuals. I helped start a nonprofit when I was in college. I can't stress enough the importance of being involved in the community.
Do you have a favorite here locally in Ann Arbor that you help?
Women's Center.
Women's Center, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think they do a great job supporting women of going back and getting their education. I'm also involved in CEW Plus, Center for the Education of Women. So both of those are great organizations. CEW Plus obviously is with the University of Michigan. Women's Center is more independent, does much more with mental health and so forth there. So both are really great organizations. But we have a lot of great homelessness. I mean, the shelter is a great organization that we've been involved in. The Kidney Foundation, we've done that. Cancer Sports Community is another great organization. How many of us have been touched with somebody that has either known somebody or personally had cancer? It's right.
Everybody, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It's some mental health support, special child psychoanalysts. We've been involved in that. Alan Creek does a lot with child psychoanalytics. Great school as well.
See, I told you, man, you just get them going on this list, and she'll be
another
9,000 words on all the people she supported.
I thought there was one or two. She rattled off 15, I think, the last number. So.
I'm sure I missed some, and I'm sure I'm going to get a phone call afterwards.
Right, yeah.
Your phone will be ringing, yeah. Why'd you forget about us?
I know, right.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for coming out. Appreciated a few minutes of your time, and just love the passion for Ann Arbor, all things Ann Arbor, women's sports, and financial advice. I think it's phenomenal. Thank you. Anybody wants to talk women's sports, I'm here. I'll take you for a drink or coffee. Or a steak. Or coffee. Or steak. Rare. Yeah, steak. So, and steak. I think we were talking earlier, too, other big news, right? We've got U of M basketball, women's team, and you've worked very hard for business owners, for opportunities. Want to share that? Yeah, absolutely. So we talked a little bit of NIL money, and another way business owners can support women's sports or any sports is through boxes or bringing people to games. Great way to entertain clients. It's the first year that women's basketball at Michigan will be renting out those boxes. We're really excited. We talked to both the ticket office and Premier Seating, and went through some former players that shout out to AJ, who really brought the ball past the finish line or scored the final goal there and got them to rent out those boxes for women's basketball. I think it's great for women's basketball. And again, bringing in that NIL money to support those athletes that really have an opportunity to really promote the game on another level. And our coach is great. Right, we really have a phenomenal coach here at Michigan and very supportive of her athletes. But I definitely, if anybody wants to come see a women's basketball game, I have a box and happy to talk sports. Well, and there's other business owners too. After they've been in your box, they can go rent their own, right? Yeah, and I really, I do have to, and probably should have said this first, so I apologize. But there was a bunch of business owners that really did, whether it be, Rick Taylor in his real estate business, or we look at Golden Limo. There's a bunch of businesses that raised their hand and said, "Oh my gosh, I want a box too. I want to support women's basketball." So there's 10 boxes. It wasn't just
Darden Wealth Group. And there was also some season ticket holders that also said, wait, I want a box, right? So it was really exciting to be part of that.
Well, see, that's perfect. Go in limo. Sean will come pick you up at your house, take you to the box, and then he'll drive you back home. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to call Sean. This is shout out to Sean. So Sean, I need a limo to the Pink concert. We have a corporate box. I haven't called you yet. Do I get a discount for naming your on this podcast?
Well, thank you again. And so, what we normally end this with a bourbon here, but we can't do that. So, what can we
I don't know.
end this with? Oh, favorite basketball player is too easy, right?
I could do a favorite basketball because it's very controversial.
Yes, let's go.
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman. Okay, well, why Dennis Rodman?
Because
you want to be controversial. That's why, right?
Well, yeah, right. I love great stories. So if you haven't figured it out, I truly believe every situation, even when you're struggling or whatever, it's going to make a great story later.
Right.
I'm truly. So Dennis Rodman is a great scenario. Really talks about this entire country, right? He was down in Texas, adopted by a white family, struggled with mental health issues, decided to make a name for himself doing something that nobody else really cared about, not scoring, but rebounding and playing defense, and really took pride in that. So it really talks about the struggles behind the scenes, and he was very good at it. He had sports. Phil Jackson, right? Phil Jackson actually came out and said he was the most athletic player he ever coached, which again controversial because he coached Michael Jordan,
Scottie Pippen,
and Scottie Pippen. Absolutely. So love to watch him play. And why did I love to watch him play? Because he was that underdog. Everybody kind of poo-pooed Dennis Rodman, though he showed up every day. He didn't need the support of everybody else. He was a little crazy behind the scenes, but it really is those times where you're trying to do something that's different from everybody else, that you don't need the support of your community or those that are detracting for you. And it's a really great story. So I really like
the Rodman story. My favorite Rodman story is in the middle of the season. He needed a vacation. He went to Phil Jackson's office and said, I need a vacation. I'm going to Vegas for the week. Then somebody had to go dig him out. It's great. I love him too. I mean, there's a correlation too. I think you both led the world in rebounding, right? That's why you got the.
Let's go with the world. I like that. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I was never a Rodman fan, but I always marveled at what he did to his body. When you think about playing an NBA schedule, how physical it is, the travel demands, all that. But with his lifestyle, and for him to go out and perform at his level, it wouldn't surprise me that Phil Jackson would think he's the best athlete, Yeah,
and Isaiah Thomas told him one time they were in the warm-up line, and he got out of the warm-up line, and he was looking at the balls, and Isaiah was like, get back in line. What are you doing? He goes, I'm watching the rotations on the ball. Yeah. I mean, he broke down rebounding.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what he had a passion for rebounding.
Yeah. I really think he really was a smart man. I really do. I did the same thing. I heard the article that, he watched tape and watched how everybody shot and the rotation of how everybody shot to know where the ball was coming out, and I did the same thing. Yeah. So it wasn't,
Did he get it from you, or did you get it from him?
No, I completely stole it from him.
See, we still can't land this plane. We can get her going on basketball, man. We're circling the airport here.
Right.
2 days later.
Well, thank you. So,
great
Andrea Darden, Darden Wealth Group, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks, guys.